You're back with Third Degree. A while ago, we profiled the terrible story of a young woman horribly disfigured after two men threw acid in her face whilst on a taxi. She has made incredible progress, as we now show.
At the moment, I feel okay. Like some days are difficult, some are good, but I'm getting there slowly.
It's been a year since the young woman we came to know as Susan was savagely disfigured in a cruel acid attack. And the change in her is remarkable.
After going through all this, it has made me look at my life differently.
Back in 2011, we visited Susan in hospital soon after the brutal attack. She was still desperately trying to adjust to the trauma of what happened. She found it hard to look in the mirror.
I just felt like I was looking at somebody else, not me. It was just different, everything. I never felt anything because it was so hard for me. And then just looked in the mirror and I couldn't believe that this is me.
Susan has dealt with this horrific tragedy with enormous strength. Now, a year on, 5 operations later, and with time to heal, Susan is a different person.
Honestly, I love mirrors. Even before, I used to like mirrors. Each day I go on the mirror and I look at myself. I don't even say, I'm not really regretful or thinking maybe it shouldn't have happened, because it has happened. When I look at myself in the mirror, I see myself in there and I can even smile at myself.
Her employers, Dr. Elizabeth and Cyril Parker, have been a rock for the young Zimbabwean woman. All alone in Cape Town, the Parkers are like a family to her, to have helped her through the many difficult surgeries.
It involved every possibility of trying to help to get Susan her beautiful face back. And but the wounds were not just physical. I think really the biggest thing was to come to terms with what happened.
Since we last met up with Susan, she's been through the grueling ordeal of bravely facing her alleged attackers in court. 2 homeless men who live on the street.
I've never been in court before, so it was traumatic for me to see him finally after all this, and to testify and have to face him. Whenever I ask questions, he'll be looking at me like that intimidating look.
A year ago, these men, strangers to Susan, were the only suspects. The motive for the attack remained a mystery. Back then, Susan had been anxious about speaking to us publicly about possible motives for the horrific attack. Now, finally, she's willing to speak out and talks about how prior to the acid attack, she was the victim of a stalker. A man she'd known slightly back home in Zimbabwe. He'd also moved to South Africa. When he sought her out on Facebook and friended her, she thought it would be comforting to chat to someone from back home.
He sent me a request, so he was my homeboy. And then we just started to talk just once in a while. How are you? How are things where you are? Something like that.
So when she moved from Pretoria to Cape Town, where he'd settled, she agreed to meet up with him. But after a few days, Susan realized he was nothing like she'd imagined.
I didn't like him, and then he didn't want to let go. He would threaten me if I would say, leave me alone. He would say, we have to die together because I can't picture another life without you.
She wanted nothing to do with him, but he refused to accept this. He continued stalking her. At home, at work, he was everywhere. After a month of this, desperate, she went to the cops.
I went to the CCID, the Crime Prevention Unit, and then I reported him because I missed my bus that day because I wanted to get in a bus, and then there he was following me and obstructing me, and then I decided to go and report him. And then I reported him, and then they warned him and said he mustn't do that again. And then that week he was unusually quiet, and then this happened.
This being the attack on a minibus taxi by 2 strangers who flung lethal acid in her face almost killing her. Acid is often used, experts say, in cases where lovers believe they've been scorned. In the days that followed, police investigated the possibility that someone hired the two men to attack her. The two suspects were then arrested, her stalker also taken in for questioning. But he was soon released. The two men confessed, were sent to Pollsmoor to await trial. It was in the prison that they appeared to have collaborated and changed their initial story. The magistrate found there to be insufficient evidence, the case was closed, and the men walked free.
What everyone is looking for, what even the police are looking for, is a link that actually links this horrendous crime to the person that has actually organized it. You know, and I think that is where the missing link is, because once that can be proven, I think then we will be much closer to getting closure on this whole case.
I just feel like there's no justice in this world, and it's him, and then it just goes away like that. And there's nothing I can do about it.
We need new evidence. We need new evidence, but also, so the case has not been solved at all, and there's many, many question marks.
Her stalker still lives and works in Cape Town. Susan lives in fear.
If I have to go somewhere, I'm scared. If I have to live where I stay, I have to check before I go out whether there's somebody, maybe an ambush, and then I go wherever I go. I just feel like everyone is a suspect, or there's somebody following me.
But on the positive side, Susan's healing has been nothing short of miraculous. This is what she looked like then, and this is what she looks like now. Much of it thanks to the selfless dedication of plastic surgeon Dr. Mark van der Velde and his team, who've offered their services free of charge as long as she needs them. And she's doing well.
Susan's last operation was an advancement of the skin that we'd grown through tissue expansion onto the left side of her face.
Tissue expansion is an amazing process where the surgeon inserts an inflatable expander beneath the skin and over weeks or months injects a saline solution to slowly stretch the skin. Then the expander is removed and this new skin is pulled up over the damaged areas.
We've come over a rocky road, but I'm very pleased with what I see. Those devils tried to steal Susan's beauty. We're taking it back, millimetre by millimetre.
Susan's courage is inspiring. The tragedy has brought out an inner strength she didn't know she had.
I'm a quiet person, and I didn't see myself even maybe being able to speak to a group of people one day. I never pictured myself doing that. I pictured myself just having a decent job and a quiet life, peaceful life somewhere.
And she's so grateful for all the donations she received from the public. PASOP, an organisation that helps refugees in South Africa, has supported Susan solidly and even wants to offer her a job as a gender activist next year.
The very, very important thing that we want to achieve next year working with her is to inform people of the possibility of such attacks, is to inform people that it can happen to them. They must avoid it, they must be careful, they must report intimidation.
What I'm passionate about is to be able to inspire other people with my story so that they can be wary of such people or any gender-based violence. That's my passion.
Susan still has many expensive operations ahead of her. If you wish to contribute, you can get in touch with the relevant people. Those details on the screen right now. And we also want to hear your views. You can fax us on 011-880-8883 or email us on thirddegree@etv.co.za, or you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next week then, thanks for watching.